So, Sten,
Hello.
hello. Thank you for coming first.
Thanks for having me.
So you're coming all the way now from California.
Yeah, it was actually Slush gave me good reason to go home for the weekend as well. So I was in Tallinn for the weekend and
Okay,
almost over the jet lag.
That's super good. So could you explain us like your how did you get there to California and all the story there?
So yeah, I spent the last 8 years building Skype in Tallinn, Estonia, and I was there mostly based in Tallinn with occasional stints to London and Singapore as well. But then a few years ago, I started thinking about this vague idea of going back to school and taking an academic break. And sort of being in the industry we're in, Stanford very quickly became my obvious choice, and I applied. So I've been living in Stanford since the summer of last year. And after I graduated this June, then I decided to extend the stay further. So, and while I'm figuring out what my next venture will be, I was offered a entrepreneur in residence position at Adreessen Horowitz, which made the decision of hanging out a bit more even easier. So.
It's very interesting because now you can see like from this side and from there to here, because we spent with Slush few weeks in US and talked with like major VCs there, and we asked them, so are you looking to Europe or are you looking to our region? And well, often the feedback is, well, I don't know, sometimes maybe not. So what do you think? Are they starting to look more?
Well, that was my main theme of the speech I gave on the big stage, was to call Europe a bit back to earth in regards of how visible Europe is today, and it's really not. And that was quite shocking for me to realize, like how Europe has virtually disappeared in the hearts and minds of investors and entrepreneurs in the valley. And it has nothing to do with Europe being bad. It has something to do. It has everything to do with the fact that there's so much is happening in the valley, and it's not like a judgment, but it's just the making rational decisions about the opportunity cost. So if you're sitting on Sand Hill Road and you're seeing 1,500 deals a year, and you need to pick out the 10 that you will invest in to make this one that it goes into $1 billion company, just taking a week out and all the check lag and pain and all of that, to go to Europe, even to something as great as Slush, very, very few people rationally make that decision. And I think that's, from one side, it's a bit sad and disappointing at first, but I also see it as a massive opportunity for entrepreneurs as well as the investors who actually know how much is happening in Europe. So, yeah.
So like, but Slush and our core region is Northeast Europe and Russia. So the feedback was, oh yeah, okay, I've been in Finland and so on. What do they think about, let's say, investing in Russia?
Me personally?
Okay, you personally.
I have no experience with investing in Russia. So
Would you? Like, we have here a lot of Russian companies.
As a private angel, like over the last few years, all the investments I've made have been based on great early stage teams and great products, like great execution of great products, and actually in which country they are has never been on my list. So in that sense, if my other criteria are fulfilled, I wouldn't have a problem with investing in Russia or anywhere else in the world. But right now, I'm scaling back my angel investments a bit anyway. So
because I'm coming back to what we just talked with the president, that okay, infrastructures are very, very different in each country. So obviously you do look at that as well, right?
Well, in Russia, my experience with Russia, the most tangible experience is that at Skype we acquired a company called Quick. And Quick had offices in California and development center in Zelenograd. And Zelenograd became after acquisition, it became Skype Russia. And I was working with them to set it up. So I had the first-hand experience of the lacking infrastructure at many times. But again, the people inside of the office, the building might have been scary and there were no hotels around and all of these other issues, but the people were amazing. And in this industry you do invest in people, not the environment, really.
What do you think about like the core region and the startups here, and them interacting more with Asia, for example, here in Finland and Japan?
I'm a huge, again, to maybe reiterate what I said before, I'm a huge believer that there is an advantage for European companies, an advantage especially for companies coming from tiny countries, that you cannot afford the luxury of working on your home market. On day one, you need to figure out how will you build a product in a way that it would work in several places. And that will impact your team building decisions, it will impact your product building decisions, the way you localize or do care about these things. And so there's this side that actually European companies are more likely to be more adaptive to different markets and cultures anyway. So that's one strength. And then layering on top of that, I think less so with China, but I do fully agree with Japan, and I've had many personal experiences in that regard as well. Estonian and Finnish cultures are quite close, and I found Estonian culture to be extremely close to Japanese culture at times. So Estonian, Finland, and the Finno-Ugric tribes, I think, have an advantage in Japan for sure. Yeah.
Let's try some questions from the audience. Do you have some questions to Sten, as angel investor, Adreessen Horowitz? Don't see any questions. Well, I don't have any more questions actually. So is there anything else you want to add, or we just... Are you coming back next year?
I will certainly have it on my calendar and try to make it back. So I think what's amazing about Slush is the fact that it's Slush as well as the Startup Sauna and Aalto University. And I've been working with Startup Sauna and trying to mentor the teams there for the last few years. And I've always been amazed how this is happening on basically on a bunch of 20-something-year-old volunteers. And I think it's this sort of entrepreneurial energy that goes into building these accelerator programs and these school-related entrepreneurship things now have translated to Slush. And when I look at the people who were there in Startup Sauna and pulling these events and things together, now they're also building great companies. So I think it's just another sort of manifestation of the entrepreneurial energy locked in this cold climate that I think cool things will keep coming out of this region. So even though when I'm based in Valley, I'm very, very proud to be European and Estonian. So.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.